Hosted by you/love pie hate bigots. Sorry, I'm a bit high right now, so my boyfriend is helping me edit. I'm female, 32 years old, he is male, 38 years old, my sister-in-law is female, 56 years old, and my stepmother-in-law is female, 69 years old. How do I put this? My sister-in-law thinks I am obnoxious. She is my boyfriend's eldest sibling, very protective of her baby, and also very religious, so her baby dating a pantsuit wearing, neon-colored hair having, bisexual atheist feminist with 2 moms was a lot for her to take in. Over the 3 years my boyfriend and I have been together, she has only become more vocal about it. It started with small snarky comments, but now it's full-on, in-your-face criticism. It got worse when he moved in with me, as we are not married. One of her longest-running jabs is that I look scary but am just mild and boring while I try to cosplay as edgy. Fair play to her for working in cosplay, gold star, she's evolving, unless I have any skeletons in my closet. I am a happy person and have no problem laughing at myself, so I always just laugh it off when she says she will find my skeletons in my closet. It was my birthday recently, so we had everyone over. When my boyfriend went out for decorations, he returned with a plastic skeleton and held it up with that "we're so immature, but you're in, right?" look on his face and said, "You thinking what I'm thinking?" And, well, I was. This cheeky Cooper was giving me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I laughed and said, "You son of a Sith, I'm freaking in." So, we set the trap. Sure enough, my sister-in-law was busy telling anyone who would listen that we're unmarried, sleeping in the same bed. I smoked the green stuff, she could smell it, the usual. I ignored her, but then she started going on about me cosplaying as edgy, not being an authentic person, and how someday she would find my skeletons in my closet. My boyfriend started to laugh, and I said, "Oh, you didn't notice?" I walked her to our coat closet near the front door and opened it. There was Skeletor the skeleton, propped up in the corner. We all had a good laugh, and my brother-in-law said, "Freaking hell, you finally found it." But when I turned to her, the mood shifted from good-natured laughter to a nightmare. She was red in the face, silent, and crying. Then she slapped me and left without a word. I was stunned by the slap and not even prepared to deal with my stepmother-in-law, who asked me if I was happy mocking the woman who raised my boyfriend and told me I'm such a disrespectful jerk, but this was a new low. She and a few others started telling me how awful I was for embarrassing my sister-in-law and mocking her in front of everyone. Naturally, the party died from the party's foul wounds and was dead on arrival, so most people left within the hour. My boyfriend has been trying to cheer me up and took me to see Deadpool and got me takeaway so we could binge watch our show and green out, but my sister-in-law texted me a paragraph about how she's tried with me but that I'm determined to be a morally corrupt violation of her family. She said she's devastated that I hate her enough to make a mockery of her. I replied with an apology, saying I'm sorry I hurt her and that I genuinely thought it was just a laugh we could share, and I offered to take her to lunch to talk it out. She said she wasn't interested in dealing with me further and that when my boyfriend wised up and left me, she would celebrate. There are texts from others and group chats where I'm being torn apart as vicious and malicious, and I'm boggled by it. I know there are definitely times when a person says it's just a joke and they are astronomically the jerk. So, am I the jerk here? Update 1 day later. Facebook is such a pain. My sister-in-law took to social media and made a post, tagging me. It was as long as a novel, but the gist of it is that I am a hateful woman who doesn't respect parental figures, and it must be because I'm an orphan. According to the post, I'm on several illicit substances and have lured her baby into them as well. She also claims I've turned him against God and his family. My man damn near blew the lid off our home when he saw the post, as he's on Facebook more than I am. He called her and demanded she take it down, but the damage was pretty much done. Family members came out of the woodwork, sending me links to rehab centers, church counseling, and addiction help. My personal favorite is the before me and after me photo comparisons. The before is a picture of him at church with his family on Mother's Day, and the after is a snap of him at a concert, showing his tattoos, drinking, and clearly drunk. Some people even came to the house to stage an intervention. My guy only started shouting and made them leave when I was referred to as a classless hussy and shameless slob. To be transparent, we use the green stuff and get high, but it's legal here, and we have jobs and maintain a good life. The after me photo isn't even from when we were dating, it was from beforehand. And for the record, I'm not an orphan. My sister-in-law is married to an alcoholic who just recently got hammered, wrecked their car, and was arrested for being belligerent with the police and refusing to leave after his car was towed. All of this over some freaking plastic skeleton? Oh, and I am a shameless slut, so that one felt like a compliment. So, I talked with him about limiting contact, and he got upset. He loves his family, and despite this freak show, he loves his sister. He got stressed out and started having a panic attack. I helped him recenter, got him some water, and held him until he calmed down. He then asked if we could give it a bit of time to fizzle down and said he would try to talk sense into his sister. So, we're giving it time. I'm not mad at him. I know this is hard for him, but this is crap. I'm being bombarded with texts and even emails calling me a demon woman, saying I'm shooting up my significant other, and that I hate Christians, none of which is even true. It's just a lot, and I'm hating every moment of it. Second update 3 weeks later. I am out of emotional freaking real estate here, but here goes everything. I have a feeling this isn't going to be short, so TLDR, my sister-in-law is depressed and self-harming after we cut her out, and my boyfriend is clearly hurting. I guess I have to start naming people, as this is turning into something of a saga. My boyfriend, Dean, yeah, I'm a Supernatural fan, so sue me, lol, sat me down a few days after my last post. He was very calm, and that was my first sign that I needed to gird my loins because I was in for a doozy. For some background, I'm usually the calm, logical one, while he's the passionate, deep-feeling type. But in this situation, we became the polar opposite of our usual selves. He looked me right in the eye and asked me, point blank, no BS, how all of this was affecting me. Every time he'd asked before, I couldn't bring myself to fully tell him how upsetting it all was because I'm always the put-together one. But this time, because he was so calm and direct, I just broke down. Nightmare isn't even the word, it was hell. We live in what's known as a small big city, meaning it's large, sure, but once you get into certain circles, you find that everyone knows you, or at least someone who knows you. It can feel like a small town in that sense. Our state is generally religious outside of our city, so rumors spread quickly. With my sister-in-law, I'll call her Ren going forward, launching social media attacks on me, it became the scuttlebutt everyone craved. Some people sided with her, not most, but enough. I started getting dirty looks and rude treatment. Even my hairstylist, who is their cousin, told me she couldn't work on my hair anymore until this was resolved because she was getting pressure from the family, i.e., Ren and my stepmother-in-law, Penny. It was petty and schoolyard-level immature, but it was enough to make me feel bad. I got done saying all of this to Dean, and he simply said, okay then, we'll block them. Just so matter of fact. I knew it was a hard decision for him because he loves the hell out of his family, they're his world. So I pushed back on the idea, telling him I could never stand in the way of him and his entire family. I started crying harder and he had to sit me down, get me some wine and water, then blanket burrito me. He hugged me until I could finally talk again. I told him I couldn't live with myself knowing I made him choose me over his family, and he said I hadn't made him, they did. From there, we started talking logistics because he wasn't budging. I was sad the whole time, because normally I'm tough and have a don't give a crap attitude, but he's so close to them, and I'm not overly close with most of my own family. I hated the thought of taking something so rare and beautiful away from him, whether it was my fault or not. We cut them off, blocked almost everyone after sending a text explaining what was happening and why. And to make it worse, it was Ren's birthday party the next day. I took my guy to a festival in the city so he wouldn't have to think about it, and we were out until 2 or 3 in the morning. When we got home, our neighbor told us that a lot of people had come by, knocking on our door, 1 or 2 at a time, and a couple of them even asked our neighbors if we were home. Later, while I was making lunch, the police came by for a wellness check. They said his mother was concerned about him. Him, not me, just him. Dean, coldly, told them that his mother was dead and that if his father's wife had sent them, he wanted it on record that they were not in contact, and he wanted no further communication. By dinner, Penny was at our door. Some of this happened before I got into the room because I was cooking, but Dean told me he heard a knock and thought it was the neighbors, so he opened the door without looking. It was Ren, standing there with red, tear-streaked eyes. She asked to come in, and he said no, so she started crying, loudly. That's when I heard the commotion and came to see what was going on. By the time I got there, she had fallen into him, sobbing and wailing, asking what she had done that was so wrong, why he was treating her like this, and saying that he's her baby and she loves him, but now he's so cold and mean to her, all that BS. I was furious, but I saw his face. He was tearing up, and I could tell it was hurting him. He gently pushed her away and asked her to leave. That's when she saw me. She started sobbing an apology, saying, I am so sorry if I ever made you feel like you're not family, you won, please don't take my baby from us. She kept going, saying that if this was about their religion, they wouldn't pray around me, and things like that. When she finally stopped rambling, I told her it wasn't about their religion. Yes, I'm an atheist, that's my choice, but I don't mind people having faith in something. In fact, I somewhat envy people who do, as I just don't and probably can't. I told her this was about how I've been treated by her and others in the family. For almost 3 years, I was cast as the villain, and I was prepared to grin and bear it for our whole lives. But she got nastier, spreading gossip, and then, above all, she physically put her hands on me. She had the absolute gall to slap me, and the family collectively decided to let that slide. I won't tolerate physical abuse. I had an abusive ex, and I won't ever accept that again. Honestly, that was the moment I realized two things: she would never respect or care about me, and I could never respect her from that point on. It all just poured out of me. I didn't yell, I was firm and direct. This is what happened, this is the hurt you caused, and here are the consequences. By the time I finished, she practically collapsed in our home, wailing. She kept interjecting with things like, "Okay, you hate me, I get it," or "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," while I was talking. I asked Dean to get her some water, and he did. When he came back and handed her the glass, he gently told her she should drink something, but she shook her head and said she couldn't. We asked if she had hurt herself getting to the ground, but then she just got really calm. She wiped her eyes, but there was this strange frown on her face, with tears still streaming down. She told us she came to apologize, and she had done that, but it was clear we didn't want anything to do with her or the family, and it was breaking her heart. She said she couldn't eat or drink anymore because life wasn't worth living knowing that Dean hated her. Dean just shook his head and, without much emotion, said, "Don't mistreat yourself like that, that's not fair." Then she just walked to the door and said, "You won, he's yours, please take care of him for me," and left. The moment the door closed, Dean started to cry. I tried to comfort him, but he pulled away. He said he isn't mad at me or anything, but that was just a lot, and he feels like crap. He told me he knew she was being manipulative, but he almost wanted to take her apology because it's just been so hard, and he knows she will spin this somehow to make us look as callous and hateful as possible, and his father would be ashamed of him. A week goes by, and Dean has cheered up a bit. He apologized to me for crying, to which I said he never has to apologize to me for his feelings or crying or anything like that, and that I'm proud of him for being rational in an entirely irrational moment. He's making friends and picking up hobbies, where family events like Mass and Sunday dinner used to be. He now goes to shoot hoops with a community group. He signed up for a patch in the community garden, and he's been using the time he would normally spend with Penny or helping around the house to volunteer at the animal shelter down the street from our home. He came home this past Monday in a bad mood. He was honest with me, saying he was upset and would be bad company, so he needed space. I obliged and went out with a friend. When I got home, he asked me to sit down and told me he had logged into social media. A friend had messaged him about a post Penny made asking for prayers for Ren. According to the post, Ren was severely depressed, had quit doing much of anything, and was suffering from the heartbreak of her life, though they didn't explain what that was. This friend of Dean's had commented, asking if there was anything they could do, and Penny replied, "Pray, and nothing more." Yesterday rolled around, and my brother-in-law, Teddy, who isn't blocked or cut off because he's been supportive, called to tell us that Ren is in the hospital after trying to take all of her meds at once. She's been asking for Dean. I told him that she's in the hospital and that he could go to her if he wanted, and I'd even go with him or not, depending on what he needed. But he refused to go. He's been down ever since, and I'm really worried. Ren is practically a mother to him, so I know this is incredibly hard for him. I feel like crap because, at the core of it, all of this spiraled from me agreeing to that stupid joke to fire back at hers. Normally, I'd say these are manipulation tactics, but downing pills out of spite is on another level of commitment to the bit. Now, I feel like I've really shattered my man's world. I don't know if I should give him time, sit him down and talk right now, up our therapy sessions, take him on a vacation, or freaking what. He's my person. I hurt when he hurts, and we're both really hurting right now. Sorry this went on so long, I guess I had more to say than I thought. Third update 1 month later. We've endured a lot from his family at this point, from them calling into my job to complain about me, to the police showing up because I'm supposedly abusing him. I won't make this another War and Peace by typing out all the details, but it's been a lot. Dean recently got a job elsewhere in the state. It's been an emotional roller coaster for him, but after we talked it out, he accepted the position. He's made it clear that he doesn't want to be near family anymore. Well, that Medusa of a woman found out, and Teddy told us she's throwing a fit. So I just knew she'd come around soon. I told Dean this, and he looked at me and said, "You think so?" And I said, "I know so." Sure enough, the next day, he came home with more skeletons. They're propped up all around the porch, in the yard, and next to the garage. They have names, he named them. Boney Stark, Marilyn Monroe, Tibia Turner, and he's even given them backstories. The man has officially lost his mind, lol. And just as expected, she showed up. We have a ring cam now, so we both got alerts and saw her coming. He got up and said he'd take care of it, so I just watched from the cam and stayed in bed. He told her to leave, and she demanded to know why he was moving, blaming it all on me. She made it seem like I had bullied him into taking the job and that he needed to come to his senses and leave me. He refused, so she slapped him, twice. Then she started cussing at him and hitting him with her fists. He backed up and eventually pushed her away. Then she fell and started screaming that he'd hit her, calling him a monster and shouting for help. She woke up the entire neighborhood with her BS. Dean was doing his best to stay calm, but he opened the door and told me to call the police. As I watched through the ring cam, she smugly said that if he dared to call, she would tell them that both of us attacked her. She even showed him her arm and said she had the injuries to prove it, claiming no one would believe him. He just stared at her and walked back inside. She went nuts, grabbed Tony Stark, and threw him into the rose bushes. Then she sat on our porch, just chilling like nothing had happened, waiting for the police to arrive. The moment the cop car pulled in, she turned on the waterworks. She actually got out of the chair meant for Boney, laid down on the stairs, and started crying. The police sorted things out pretty quickly because, as Oscar-worthy as her performance was, we had footage. It was my turn to be smug. I cast it onto our large TV for everyone to see. When she realized she was caught, she cussed me out, calling me a beach and a loser, a harpy who had charmed her baby, and then lunged at me. Dean stepped in, got in her way, and told her to get the hell out of our house, calling her disgusting and manipulative. Then he said, "I'm not your baby, and you know what? Thank you. Thank you for showing me who you are. Now I can't wait to get away from you. Good job." I think she realized it all in that moment because this time, when she cried, I believed her. She just sobbed as the cops took her outside. We had her legally removed and put in a request for a restraining order. We currently have a temporary one while the case is being reviewed, but it will expire after we move. Now, we're just being careful about our personal information. Dean was really sad the first few days, but now he's excited. He keeps talking about the city we're moving to, how fun, quirky, and full of live music and events it is. I know he'll eventually mourn everything once it catches up with him, and he's keeping busy to avoid thinking about it too much, but it's so good to see him smile again. I've missed that. The family has tried harassing us, but he forwards them the footage and tells them that if they don't want him to go fully no contact, they need to stop and keep Ren under control. Sometimes it makes him cry, and other times it just makes him mad. I've asked if he wanted me to handle some of this, but he says no, he just wants us to ride this out, pack up, and get settled in the new city. Oh, and the skeletons are definitely coming with us.